Welcome back to Dude, We Can Fix It. Today I'm going to show you how to change out the struts on your car. Now the first thing is, if you're doing this in your home shop and you don't have access to a large commercial grade strut spring compressor, I will always recommend getting a quick strut like this here that has the spring already mounted to the strut. The reason being is that these springs are very dangerous, especially if you don't have the proper equipment to compress them and keep them in a cage while they are compressed. Now, if you can afford the extra expense of getting a quick strut like this, it will restore the original ride height of your vehicle and also keep you safe from having to compress these springs yourself. Smart choice. Now, let me explain why you might want to change out the struts on your car. If you ever drive over a bump and it sounds like your suspension is bottoming out or rattling a lot, squeaking, making a lot of noise, or if your car has a lot of roll whenever you're driving, your suspension may be at fault. One test you can do, you can hop in and bounce and see how much play your vehicle has. Now this car certainly does not have the worst suspension that I've seen, and definitely not the worst that I've replaced. However, I'm going to go ahead and replace it as some preventative maintenance items because the suspension is getting quite noisy and I'm noticing a lot of body roll when I drive around. We have a 10mm bolt right here holding on our ABS wire. We'll need to take that off first. Then we have a 12mm bolt here that needs to come off. It is normally holding our brake line. At this point, go ahead and get your ABS wire out of the way. And our brake line is actually already over here, but you will want to get your brake line a little bit out of the way. Next, we have this little vertical connector. It needs a 5mm Allen wrench for the center. Make sure you get that in there good so it doesn't strip out. And then we need a 14mm wrench. Now you'll hold the Allen wrench and you'll turn the large wrench counterclockwise. You will need to position your jack underneath your hub assembly here. Once this straightens out, you'll be able to push it through. Now lower your jack and put very slight pressure upwards. Now we are going to remove this bolt here and this bolt down here underneath. You will need a 19mm wrench or socket on one side and another 19mm on the other side. Do the same thing for the bottom bolt. Now you can lower your jack and hopefully you'll be able to separate this. There we go. You can see now our lower strut is disconnected from this hub. Now all that's left to do is to disconnect the 3 bolts up there at the top. So we need to gain access to the top of the strut to unbolt that. First, grab this seat, pull up on the front, and pull it straight out. Next, we'll need a 12mm socket to take this bolt out here. And be able to pull this out, lift straight up, and remove these side panels. Now we need to remove these black panels back here. You will use a Phillips head screwdriver to unscrew these a little bit and pull them out. And same thing over there. It does look as though these may have had some more plastic clips right up under here, but they have been removed. You may or may not have those. If you do, remove them. At this point, we can access the first 2 bolts here, this one and that one. And the third one is still a bit hard to get to. We will take this 14mm bolt out and remove the seat belt assembly. At this point, all you gotta do is lift up this insulation. And now we have access to all 3 nuts that are holding the top of this strut. You will use a 1/2 inch deep socket and take all 3 nuts off. Now we will use a 13mm deep socket to take these 3 nuts off. Now the 3 nuts are loose on the top. Go ahead and lift up and wiggle this guy out. There you go. Now get your new strut assembly. Make sure that it is identical to the one that you took out. Key thing to look at here is the location of this tab and these tabs. Make sure you get the correct one. The one that I'm doing here is the driver's side rear, which on a lot of your parts manuals will be called the rear left-hand side strut. I'm going to feed this up, line up these in the holes up there, and get a nut started on it. Now start tightening up your nuts on the top. Make sure you get these nice and tight. I'm not sure what the exact torque spec is, so I'm just getting them really tight because this is holding on your suspension. If you want, you could use Loctite on there as well. Go ahead and put this insulative cover back down and reinstall your 14mm bolt holding your seat belt in place. Once again, get this bolt really tight because it is holding your seat belt. All right. There we go. Now, if you're doing both of your rear struts, which you should be at this point, go ahead and do the other side while you have all this taken apart, and then I will show you how to put this all back together. The process is the same for the other side. All right, now we got to get this hub assembly here seated back into this. Now we can get our top bolt set. And get our lower bolt set. We're ready to tighten them down. Now we can get our 10mm bolt, reconnect our ABS wiring harness. Then we'll come over here and reconnect this part. You need your floor jack positioned below to lift up on the strut until these 2 pieces line up. Now get your 14mm wrench and your 5mm Allen wrench and tighten this up. Now we will replace our flexible brake hose and put this 12mm bolt back in to hold it in place. Alright, now that we have both of our rear struts in, we can go ahead and put these panels back in. All right, so this little tab here fits in this clip here. So get it mostly in place, lift it up, and bring it down. There we go, secured. Now put this 12mm bolt in the bottom. Fold your seats back up. And we're ready to set in the seat cushion here. Go ahead and route your seatbelt buckles through these two holes. And now you'll dip the back end of the seat down at an angle. And then you have two clips in the front that go down here and over here. All right, that's how you replace the rear shocks in your car. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and turn on your bell notifications for future videos. As always, dude, we can fix it, and I'll see you next time.